Hey guys, and welcome back to the Baker Bunch. I am Nisha. If you guys are new here, make sure that you subscribe. And on today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys our story to conceiving Tamir. I have been married now for 6.5 years. Ooh, that's crazy when you think about like 6.5 years. So what happened? Tayari and I met in 2011 at the beginning in February. We were married in August, and we already had discussed and talked about we wanted to be parents. When I look back now, I'm glad that it didn't happen in that first year, but I didn't think it would take that's 8. But I didn't think it would take 4 years, like literally 4 years to conceive. We had a couple of pregnancy scares, I guess you would say. I want to say it was we had been married for 2 years, and I hadn't had a menstrual cycle from, I want to say, August till October. I remember the doctor having the audacity to say, maybe it's because you should lose weight. And it kind of was one of those things that was like, I felt like a slap in the face. I felt like a lot of the doctors that we had saw lacked compassion. And I don't know, I felt like when my husband, so every doctor appointment I had, Tayari went with me. And I felt like when I would tell them, we're trying to conceive, there weren't that many doctors that were pro it. I feel like a lot of people were against it, which I didn't understand. And she told me that was the end of 2012. After that appointment, maybe like 2 weeks later, my menstrual cycle came back, and I'm like, okay, I'm not pregnant. So we prayed and we tried. We prayed and we tried. It wasn't until 2014 I scheduled my bi-yearly pap smear with a new doctor at a Planned Parenthood. So I went to the Planned Parenthood doctor, and Tayari was in the waiting room, and I explained to the nurse that, well, not the nurse, the actual doctor, that all my paps had came back normal, nothing. I had a consistent normal menstrual cycle other than that one scare in 2012, and nothing's going on. I don't understand. I didn't have any negative tests. Tayari didn't have any issues that prevented him from conceiving, but we needed answers. So she informed us that we could schedule an appointment with a fertility clinic in Orange County. Again, we live in Southern California, so Orange County, the location's about an hour away from us. She informed us that we can go to this fertility specialist, and they'll give us further options. We went to see the specialist at the end of October, beginning of November. And we had a consultation, and she basically asked me, have we been consistently trying? How often do we have intercourse? One of the questions she asked us, do we smoke, do we drink? Have I had any miscarriages, any abortions, anything of that nature? So I expressed to her that I had never been pregnant. My husband had never gotten anyone else pregnant, before me, of course, that we are consistently trying. It just has not happened for us. So as she was going down the list of possible procedures, she mentioned that she can do one where like they could insert dye into me, and we could see if it's going through my tubes and if my eggs, and track my ovulation and stuff like that. So as she's talking and I'm looking at the papers, I'm looking at the numbers. And if you're familiar with anything like IVF or infertility of any, I don't know the terms, but if you're familiar with that, you know that it's expensive. So I'm like, oh my God, this is going to I'm like, can we at least do, like just this one to see if like, the eggs is there, if it's working, because I have a period. I should be, producing. And I remember watching an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Khloe was saying that she was having a cycle, but she wasn't having eggs. So I'm like, oh my God, is that happening to me? Like, can somebody just tell me? So after the appointment, she sent me home with a package of information. And she basically said, talk to your husband about it and see what happens. So I remember after that, I kind of felt a little defeated, because I'm like, if there is something wrong, I can't afford all of this stuff. And I had looked into adoption, and that's expensive. So, and then after I left out, I went through the waiting room with Tay, and we sat outside on this bench, and I was like, you know what, babe? Listen, these are the numbers. It's looking pretty expensive. Let's try every day if we have to, and if it's God's will, it will be done, and we'll be parents. I remember having a light period which looking back, I think could have been implantation bleeding. It lasted for about 3 days, and I didn't think anything of it. So went on about my business. In December, I didn't get a period at all around Christmas time, like a little bit before Christmas, and this was of the end of 2015. I'm sorry, I think it may have said 14, but it was 2015. I noticed I didn't get a period. Didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe I was just a little stressed because at the time I was in real estate, and we had some transactions going on and just a lot going on. So in that January of 2016, I told Tay, okay, I still didn't get my period. Maybe we are pregnant. So before, we've had this happen where you think that you're pregnant, take a pregnancy test, and it comes back negative. You're devastated. So I wasn't expecting anything, but I was telling Tay, like, I think we may be pregnant. So we go to the urgent care because, again, I didn't have an actual primary. So we go to the urgent care. I take a test, and they're like, it's negative. But they were like, if you don't get your period in February, then come back. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just get my period. February comes. I don't get my period. I am very tired. Don't really have the energy to do anything. I didn't have any morning sickness, but I just didn't feel like myself. At the time, Tayari and I were considering to relocate to Phoenix, Arizona. So we got our taxes and we decided, let's take a road trip. So we're about 4.5 hours away. So Tay and I hop in the car and we drive to Phoenix. And on that drive, I'm like, dang, I'm really tired. And I thought it was because we did so much stuff that day before we had left to Phoenix that I thought, nothing was wrong. So we get there that night and we go to my favorite Whataburger. And then I just remember knocking out. I was so tired. I was just tired. Next morning, I wake up full of energy. We go to breakfast, and then we go look at some apartments, and we go out to lunch, and we go to sushi, and then next door, there's like a baby consignment store. So we go there, and this is like the end of February. So we go there, and I'm like, oh, Tayari, look at the clothes. And my spirit, I don't know what you guys believe in, but let me tell you about me. My spirit kept saying, like, Nisha, get a test. Nisha, get a test. So we go to Walgreens, and Tayari goes in because on the we noticed that he forgot to pack either deodorant or toothpaste, one or the other. So he goes into Walgreens, and I'm on the phone trying to book a different hotel because we stayed somewhere that I didn't like. But my spirit is like, Nisha, get a test, get a test. So I didn't tell Tayari to get a test. We get back in the car, and we're driving, and we go to Big Lots. And I'm like, do Big Lots have pregnancy tests? So I'm looking through Big Lots, and I'm like, well, babe, they don't have one. It's fine. It's probably negative, like always. So we get back to the new room. We checked in. I remember it was at the embassy because I love the omelet. I had been craving an omelet. So we go to the embassy. We check in, and they have like a mingling happy hour at 5. So I just remember knocking out. I was so tired. So I go to sleep, which is not uncommon for me to have long naps. So that's why I don't think that being tired and all of that, I didn't think that it clicked because that's not uncommon for me. So we go to happy hour, and I order a strawberry daiquiri, and I take a sip, and it's like, oh, this is nasty. I don't want this. So my cousin moved to Phoenix, and I got in touch with him. So we went over there, and he was like, are you pregnant? But I thought he was trying to be shady because I had gained weight. So I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. So we're talking with him, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, on the way back, I told Taylor, okay, let's go home. So we're driving home. We get halfway back into California, and we stop at Albertsons. And Tayari loves chicken, like fried chicken. So I see a Starbucks. So I go get a tea. And as I'm drinking my tea, I drop it. And Tayari gets, and like the people come and clean it up. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, that's not normal. Like, who just drops stuff? So we get back in the car with Tayari's box of chicken. And it's my turn to drive. And I just start feeling, like the smell of the chicken was horrible. Like, I don't know if it was the fry. I don't know what it was. I was just like, Tayari, hurry up and eat that because we have to throw that out. Like, it's disgusting. So I forgot to mention, in December, I had went to the emergency room because I was having headaches, and come to find out it was because my blood pressure was high. So I have pre-hypertension, right? So I had a follow-up appointment, and the soonest appointment I can get was March. So when we got back home to California, literally the next day, I had a doctor's appointment. Tell you about Jesus. So okay, so that night, I feel a little weird. Like, I think I had moved the wrong way, and my stomach had got tight in a way that I never felt before. So I thought something was up. So I know you're wondering, like, why didn't you just get a test? Why didn't you just buy a test? I don't know. You know, my spirit kept saying, test, test, test. But I guess because my flesh and I have been so used to, like, it being negative that I didn't even entertain it. So this is where it gets good. So that morning, we have a doctor's appointment with a new doctor. So I'm meeting my actual now primary, not OB, but family doctor about my blood pressure. So we go in, and again, I still hadn't had a period. Something felt weird. The chicken, I'm tired. I don't know, just weird, right? So Tayari's kind of like in doubt, I guess you could say. And we walk into the doctor's office, and she's like, "Hi, Benicia, da da da." She's talking to me, and I'm like, "I still haven't had a period. I should probably take a can I take a test?" So she was like, "Sure, let me have the nurse come back, and she'll bring you the test." So she knocks on the door. She's like, "You can, here's your, pee in the cup or whatever." So I go in there and I use the bathroom, and I remember holding my stomach. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, "Baby Baker, are you in there?" And oh my God, I'm gonna cry. And okay, so I go back to the room, and I told Tay what I said, what I did. So Tay's just sitting there, and so I'm talking to the doctor, and she's telling me about, like, my blood pressure medicine, make sure that what I'm taking, and things that I should do to make sure that my blood pressure comes down, and that I can get it at a good steady number. So there's a knock on the door, and it's this yellow paper that the nurse passes to the doctor, and she looks at me and she says, "Have you guys been trying?" So I look at Tay, and I'm smiling, and I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "You're pregnant." And I'm like, "Shut up." And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Benicia Shantae Baker, 92690. Wait, me?" Like, I'm going through my birthday, my whole name, and she's like, "Yes, you're pregnant." And I look at Tay, and I'm like, I knew it. And Tayari, so she's like, "I'm gonna give you guys a second." And then Tay comes and hugs me, and like, we cried. Oh my God, we cried. It was like, I don't know, like, I wish that I would have recorded that moment, but like, oh my God, it was just, Tayari said his heart literally dropped, what did you say? Dropped in the chair? Mm-hmm. His heart literally dropped or sinked in the chair. It was crazy. So she came back and she knocked, and she was like, "Based upon your last period, the baby should have a heartbeat." So I'm looking at Tay like, "This isn't real. Are you sure?" Like, oh my God. So she's like, "Let me go get the Doppler and everything." So she tells me to lay back on the thing, and she comes back and she puts it on my stomach, and the baby had a heartbeat of 168. And I just was crying, like, I was just crying, like, Lord, like, finally, like, oh my God. And I'm just like, it was crazy. So from that moment, it just, like, oh my God. Yeah. So after we left, we went to go get my medicine. I told, my family and everything. And yeah, so that's the story of how we found out that we were pregnant. I know it's crazy, it's a lot, I know, but yeah, so we are currently trying to conceive for baby number 2. I was going to put another 2 if that's 4, but yeah, for baby number 2, if you guys want to share your stories or have any comments for me, make sure that you leave those below. Give this a big thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.